Today we're going to take a look at a build of Toxrill the Corrosive. This is a 7 mana commander. It is a slug horror. And at the beginning of each end step, you put a slime counter on each creature you don't control. Creatures you don't control get -1, -1 for each slime counter on them. Whenever a creature you don't control with a slime counter on it dies, you create a 1/1 black slug creature token. And then Toxrill has another ability for black and blue. You can sacrifice a slug to draw a card. Toxrill is a 7/7, so it is nothing to laugh about. And over the course of the game, ideally, we're going to be having our opponent's creatures die to the slime counters, which is going to give us slugs to sacrifice and draw cards with, and eventually allow us to do our thing without them being able to do a whole lot. In CEDH, this is backbreaking for all the mana dorks. Goodbye after one turn to your Manowar Elves. Goodbye, Elvish Mystic. We do run 2 Planeswalkers in our deck. We run Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, and Jace costs 3 blue and a generic. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. It's +1. Target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into the graveyard, draw a card, so we could use this on our opponent or ourselves, doesn't really matter. The -8 is not really super relevant because it's not likely to happen, but if we do get to -8 Jace, we draw 7 cards, then if your library has no cards in it, you win the game. Teferi of Master of Time is a new include in this deck. It costs 2 blue and 2 generic to cast. You may activate loyalty abilities of Teferi Master of Time on any players anytime that you cast an instant. You can +1 to draw a card and discard a card. -3, target creature you don't control phases out. And -10, take 2 extra turns. It is not likely the -10 is going to become relevant, but this is some good looting for us to be able to draw through our decks and get to what we want and be able to do this on every player's turn. We are kind of light on creatures because our deck is going to focus around making creatures in alternative ways with our slugs, but we do run Dauthi Voidwalker, Gilded Drake. Orcish Bowmasters is here because it's just proving to be a powerhouse in CEDH and has never been a disappointing creature to play. Phantasmal Image lets us copy something, which could be really fantastic for us. Thassa's Oracle, part of our win condition. Opposition Agent is here so that we can punish our opponents while they try to search and steal some things that they do. Notion Thief is also here so that if our opponents would draw more than 1 card, we would draw that card instead. Phyrexian Metamorph to be able to clone something is just generically good in our deck. Talion, the Kindly Lord, is good. Ideally, you're going to name most likely 1 or 2. Those are pretty much the only things that you ever really name in CEDH. Oftentimes it's 2 because there are a lot more combo pieces that require. It doesn't stop those combos, but it does make it so that they are more punished by doing that and you get to draw a card. Hullbreaker Horror is another combo piece that we have in the deck so that we can eventually close out the game and end this. Sorceries are kind of light as well. We do run things that are tutors, as you can see with Imperial Seal, Demonic Tutor, and Diabolic Intent. Mash Diminish is kind of a mean card because if we have our Toxrill in play, we could use Mash Diminish, make all the creatures that our opponents control pretty much die because they will be 1/1s and then they'll get the slime counters and die. Ours will not be affected really, but theirs will. Fabricate is going to be great for us so we can go get one of our key artifacts. Mnemonic Betrayal is great in our deck because we can grab something that is our opponent's. If, for example, one of their pieces ends up being milled in from us with our ability from Jace, or they just go to win and they are stopped, we can Mnemonic Betrayal their win con out of their graveyard and steal the win right out from under them, which is kind of fun. Love doing that to people. Instants are kind of what you would expect with removal, ramp, and counter magic. We do run Demonic Consultation, which pairs well with our Thassa's Oracle. As I've talked about in almost every video, Spell Snare is a card that is very underplayed in CEDH, and honestly, you need to be playing it a lot more. 1 blue mana to stop at least 50% of the combo pieces, or a lot of the interactive pieces of the game. It's absolutely worth it in my opinion. We run Dramatic Reversal, which combos with one of our artifacts to help us make infinite mana. Tainted Pact is another piece for our combo to either win with Thassa's Oracle or win with Jace. Polymorph Jest is a mean little instant that we hold up 3 mana for, and we make all of our creatures that are on the battlefield, 1/1s, and then they all get the slime counters on them, and then they die. So this is a fun way to wipe the board at instant speed right before they all get slime counters and die. Artifacts are what you would typically expect in our deck from a CEDH build. We do run Isochron Scepter, which pairs well with Dramatic Reversal to help win the game and make infinite mana. Cormus Bell is nasty as fuck. If you play Cormus Bell and you get this thing to drop, if you have Cormus Bell and then you have one of the land out, which you can probably guess what that is, it's Urborg. Urborg makes everything swamps. Cormus Bell makes all swamps 1/1 black creatures. And then guess what? When the trigger of Toxrill goes on, all of their lands, because of Urborg, are swamps, and then become 1/1 creatures, die. So you just blew up all of the opponent's lands. Thank you to Cormus Bell and Toxrill if you have Urborg out. It's really fucking nasty. I have yet to pull it off, but it'd be really hilarious if I ever could. It's pretty much a scoopable moment at that point because they're not recovering. And of course, we're playing the One Ring because why the fuck not? It's one of the most powerful cards in CEDH. It's powerful in Toxrill as well. Enchantments are what you would expect. Counterbalance is here to help us be able to interact with the board. Dress Down is here so that we can make something that's about to come in, potentially stopping one of our opponent's wins because of it. Meathook Massacre is another way just to sacrifice things and get the board cleared. Our lands are pretty typical. We are running Urborg simply because it does go with our Cormus Bell and our Toxrill, so those three things alone pretty much wipes the board. We are running Colossal Lockdoing to draw some cards because we need to be able to have cards in our hand to be able to interact and play through. Cavern of Souls we play hopefully so that mainly Toxrill, but we could have other things become uncounterable if we want. Command Beacon, because our commander is going to be the heavy target of every source of removal and is pretty darn expensive to cast. We're going to be lucky to get it out early because we're going to happily keep a hand of some cheap mana rocks. But if it dies, it's going to be hard pressed to come back out, and Command Beacon is going to help with that. Otawara, of course, we are playing in the deck as another piece of removal or just a land depending on what we need. If you have other cards that you would include in a Toxrill deck that we did not, please let us know in the comments below, and we would also love to hear if you've played against a Toxrill deck or you yourself are a Toxrill player. We'd love to hear some feedback or some testimonials about how it's gone for you. Drop those in the comments below.